This video will walk you through Step 4, the Final Performance Evaluation Conference. If you have specific questions regarding Step 4 that aren't answered by this video, please contact Christopher Patton at christopher.patton@detroitk12.org or the EDP Help Desk at this address. Okay, let's get started. We're going to be referencing the DPSCD Employee Performance Evaluation Process 2017-2018 Manual. You should have access to this document. It looks like this. If you don't have it, email me and I can send it to you. Step 4 is outlined on pages 10 and 11. Take a moment to read through what to do before, during, and after the meeting. There are a lot of forms and steps to complete this part of the process, so I highly recommend reading it before getting started. Once you've had the chance to do that, look at page 7. Some of the work you'll do later will reference something called general competencies or job-specific competencies. This is what they're talking about, so take a moment to quickly read over this, too. If you flip forward to page 12, you'll see another key that you'll be using later. Step 4 requires managers to use a rating scale, and this is the key. Definitely keep that handy. And here's where we should stop and pause for a moment. We are going to be managers assigning a number to an employee. Let's be real. The reaction, no matter how healthy your relationship is going to be weird. Making sure you take time to help your employee reflect on their accomplishments this year is going to be crucial to making this conversation successful. With that said, let's look at pages 22 through 27. These are the forms you're actually going to be using to complete this conference. Managers, you're going to be responsible for 22 through 26. Page 27 is for your employees to fill out, and they should do that before the conference. So let's get started. Look at page 22. It's titled Evaluator Comments on Competencies. If I look at Part A, this is asking you to provide written comments on things like attendance and interpersonal relations. It also asks you to describe technical skills and problem-solving ability. To help you craft these comments, here's where you're going to want to refer back to page 7. For example, if I'm trying to figure out what dependability means in this context, I'll look back to page 7 and see that it says, indicates the ability of the evaluator to rely on the employee with confidence and trust. So with that information, I'll write my comments accordingly. If I move on to Part B, down here, I have to write the same comments for things like problem-solving ability. Again, if I want more clarity around what that means, page 7 can help you with that. Let's move on to page 23, which is Form 4.1. Here, you're going to be using a rating system for your employee. These ratings, as we mentioned before, are exceptional, commendable, satisfactory, or unsatisfactory. There's another option called unable to rate in case this item doesn't apply to your employee. To get a better explanation of what exceptional means, turn to page 12. Here, you can see that it meant that they met or exceeded objectives and competencies. Complete all the ratings and make sure you finish the ones on page 24 as well, and add the totals in the spaces provided. Then move on to page 25, which is Form 4.2. These questions use the same rating system, but ask you to reference something called a skill set checklist. This checklist was ideally developed between the manager and the employee using the job description, probably at the beginning of the year. If you don't have this, or didn't do it, take time to establish what items from the job description are relevant to be considered for this section of the evaluation. After this, move on to page 26, or Form 4.3. Here's where we tally up the points from the previous two forms. The directions are fairly self-explanatory. Add together your scores from Forms 4.1 and 4.2, then add the total number of ratings you completed. Then divide the number of points by the number of ratings and list it here. This is the number I was mentioning earlier, and it's bound to stir up some feelings. It would be very easy right now to fall down a rabbit hole of debating each and every point. It would be more useful, though, to use this time with your employee to help plan growth for next year. I recommend asking some questions. You could start with, tell me about a time when you've been able to overcome something tough, and how you might apply this to a challenge here at work. What is the hardest thing for you personally to overcome when faced with a challenge? With their answer, see if there's a way that you can help them with that. During the meeting, make sure you and your employee sign the document. Remember that it doesn't mean the employee agrees to the score, it just means that you had the meeting. Managers, make 2 copies of the evaluation forms we've used. 1 copy goes to you, 1 copy goes to your employee, and the original set gets sent to human